Everybody's greedy. Fear and greed up to 76. Bitcoin had a little bit of a pullback, sitting around 62,000. Greetings all, welcome to Just Playing Crypto. We're going to do some crypto action and talk a little bit about what's been going on in the markets the last week or two. As everyone's probably already knows, Bitcoin's going up and up and up. And as I had said in my last video, it gets kind of hard to talk about dollar cost averaging and what you should be investing in and things like this. Because it's kind of, we're at the almost the missing the boat period. Of course, if there's never a bad time to invest in Bitcoin. But yeah, now granted, the alt season has not taken off. So there is a lot of things in there where they're going to do a 10x. And this is how this bull cycle looks like it's going. It appears to be matching up very, very closely to what happened in 2017. So going on that, not investment advice, but the opinion is that probably Bitcoin will probably see close to 200,000 early next year. And what does that mean for the altcoins? Boy, there's a lot those things can do. And they have not popped yet. And honestly, if you're not in the market, you can kind of invest in almost anything in the bull market and you'll be making money. It's just the question of after the bull market ends and we enter into a bear market, will whatever you're invested in still be there at the end of that, and how much will be left, right? Because they'll go up and do a 10x and then retrace maybe down to nothing. So I did do a video earlier. It was kind of a downer video, and not much sleep, was in kind of a bad mood. Not that anything was wrong with the video that I did, but I did unlist that if anyone wants to see that. It was actually more of a politically minded video, you should say. A lot of truth in the video about how the world really works, and not everybody is going to want to even know about that. The dark, seedy underside of investing. So what do we have going on in crypto? What's the news today? Well, everything is up. You know, it's kind of how the bull market goes. Everything is up until they retrace a little bit, and that's where Bitcoin is at. It retraced to 60,000 over the weekend, and now it's gradually going back up, and it's probably going to hit 68, 69, close to 70. It'll hit 70, probably go up, you know, to the early 70,000s and then retrace again as people take profits. Okay, this is how this bull market is going to go, with people just taking profits as things go on the way up, and it's going to be a gradual thing. All of the negative FUD news that has come out surrounding cryptocurrency has not affected the markets at all, and I don't believe that it will. I don't believe that it will. People are taking too much money, or making too much money, to even be remotely concerned about what China is doing, or about what the Treasury Department and Janet Yellen want to do. There's just too much money out there. People don't care. So this is the way that it looks like it's going to go, at least for the next couple of months. So I hope everybody is doing what I'm doing and selling everything that they have they don't need to put into Bitcoin. You got to look out for your future. Okay. That's the way to go. That's what I'm doing. And, you know, the sooner you get in, it's not like it's, in a sense, you're not missing the boat. Because there's only like 2% of the population of the world that is involved in cryptocurrency, particularly in Bitcoin. So you don't want to be one of those people after everybody else in the world has got Bitcoin that you're just starting to get into the market. So with that, how do we get into the market? It's been a while. I used to try to do this on Mondays. It has been a while since I've done the dollar cost averaging. This is how you invest. This is investing for dum-dums. All right. It's right up my alley. And even guys that are multimillionaires, there's a lot of them out there on YouTube that run YouTube channels. They just dollar cost invest and hold. They don't do any trading. They don't do any technical analysis of the markets. They do research on projects that they want to invest in, and they think that they might go up in value, and they invest in them, and then they just hold on to the asset and watch the money roll into the account. And this is the way to do it. Okay? This is the way to do it. And as you have your feet wet, so to speak, with maybe some Bitcoin in some portfolio, and maybe you're thinking about cashing your retirement and putting it into a Bitcoin thing, which is probably a good idea. and you want to dabble in some of these other things that are technologies you might just happen to be interested in, like video game industry. They have a lot of Axie Infinity is smoking hot, right? Not a very good game, but people like it, and it's really has a lot of support behind it. Maybe you're into artwork and NFTs, right? Maybe there's these other areas that you do your research and go into. And right now, it's really hard to make a mistake. This is like almost like December of 2020, where it's really hard to make a mistake. You put money somewhere, it's going to go up. That's how it was in that market. I was there for that. And yeah, so let's take a look at the portfolio I put together. Now, I put 2 portfolios together, anyone who has watched my stuff. And this was in August 8th when I looked at the very first dollar cost average episode on Monday, August 8th. On August 8th, I took $1,000 and invested it into 2 different portfolios. One of them is a long-term investment holder portfolio where all you do is you put money into these coins and you sit there and you just hold on to them and watch them grow. And then every week you put in another $100. And that's what we did. Every week, another $100 into something new or building on the position that I already had. So in here, what do we have? We have primarily Bitcoin at around, now it's around $900 worth, and then Solana. And just a tiny bit of Ethereum in there. Elrond, which was something I added later. Chainlink, Polkadot, and Engine Coin. These are the buy 'em and hold 'ems that I have for that portfolio. And as you can see, this is, we'll set it here to last trade. So the last time that these had been traded, which is essentially since I purchased them, because I am not swinging from one thing to the other in this portfolio. I am just buying and holding. Now, the investment portfolio since August 8th, okay, a little more than 2 months, is up 438%, guys. If you're sitting on the sidelines, what are you doing? What are you doing? Your money is losing value at the rate of 15 to 20% just in inflation, not counting the taxes that they're going to raise. Where are you going to make up that difference? 438%. And these are the slow movers. Okay, these are the blue chips that aren't going to move as fast as speculative investments. Now in here, we did have one that popped really big. Solana popped really big. And guess what? If you have a portfolio with 8 or 10 different coins in it, being primarily made up of Bitcoin and Ethereum and, Chainlink, and then some speculative things in there, one of them is going to pop. Okay, odds are one is going to pop and really make a lot of profit during a short period of time. And in this case, it was Solana. And now this, I only have 3 Solana. But when I purchased this in August 8th, Solana was probably around $30 to $40. Now it's 200. It 5x'd. All right. So that's what's going on there. Now I said, the reason we have the gambler dollar cost average gambler portfolio is people who want to do more active trading and people who really want to play the market. Okay. And people who want to do speculation stuff. So I built a gambler portfolio. We will see how the gambler portfolio is. 585%, guys. Now, what did I explain about this? Is that for a long time, in dollar cost averaging, the solid investments were making a higher profit than the gambler portfolio. And I said that these investments will not go down as much as a gambler portfolio will. However, in a bull market, when the bull market takes off, your gambler portfolio needs to outpace your Bitcoin portfolio. It has to. Otherwise, there is no reason to ever be invested in any of these things because they're not great long-term investments. They're short-term. I want to buy them. I want to trade them. And I want to get out of Dodge with my money or roll it into Bitcoin. That's what these are here for. But let's take a look at gambler portfolio that was doing nothing up until the beginning of October. Okay, Shiba Inu, what is the hottest? This was one of my first picks. This is the hottest thing this month. Shiba Inu went from like 30th or 40th place on the overall market cap to number 11. And if you take out the stable coins, it's like number 7. Okay, Shiba Inu, hot, hot, hot. Dogecoin, which hasn't done a whole lot, but it has not done poorly. All right. These are things that the kids are involved in, and the big whales, and these are meme coins. I do have one Solana in there just so I can keep the portfolio somewhat. It was looking really bad there for a while. So I have a stability factor in Solana, but Solana is still somewhat of a gamble. XRP is a huge gamble, and that one's up 44% since purchasing it. Terra Luna isn't much of a gamble. That's a kind of a, has a lot of legs behind it now, and it's rolling. VeChain is a pretty big gamble. There are a lot of people out there who love VeChain. People who know their stuff when it comes to cryptocurrency. A lot of those people love it. I am not convinced of it. I don't like investing in things that are China. Okay, my personal thing. But it's even up 18%. All right, and of course, Axie Infinity. Okay, wild card. Axie Infinity, which absolutely skyrocketed. So there you have it. This is all done with starting with $1,000 on August 8th. And then every Monday after that for, I think, about 6 weeks. I haven't done it for the last 2 or 3 weeks on this portfolio. For a variety of different reasons. This web page actually messes up my computer a little bit. So I typically close out of it and forget about it. But so essentially we've got maybe $2,000 total invested. Has turned into 3,200, so 585%. I would expect, you know, this portfolio, even just leaving it alone, it's going to be 1,000% by the end of November. All right, and these are gambler tokens. Now, when the bear market comes, a lot of these are going to zero. All right, a lot of these are going to zero. So what you do is you take your profits here, roll it into Bitcoin, roll it into stable coins gradually as these prices go up. Shiba Inu wants to pump. Right now it's all-time high. It's probably a good time to take out some profits if you're invested into Shiba. And on the investment side of things, you don't need to do anything. Okay? You don't need to do anything. Just sit there. What I personally do myself is I set up stop losses, and I do that as a way of taking profit. Okay? So for instance, Bitcoin goes to 70,000 and a lot of people are taking profits, and I have a stop loss in there at 68,000 or 67,000, and a whole bunch of people take profits and Bitcoin goes down to 61,000. My stop losses sell. I can take my Bitcoin and buy back into my old position, and I'll still have money left over that I can either increase my Bitcoin position or I can move into other things that maybe dropped a lot more. All right, so I'm gonna have stop losses in there, but if my stop losses sell, I'm just going to buy right back in. I'm going to buy back into what I had before. Very happy with my portfolio. It looks very similar to this, except I dropped Engine Coin for Phantom Token, which was a really good move. So, yeah, 438% on the dollar cost averaging. $100 per week, starting with 1,000. 438% in 2 months, right? And really, it's only 1 month. Because it wasn't until October 1st that everything started pumping. Bitcoin went up 40% in 1 month. So that's what we have there. That's what's going on with that. And that is the power of dollar cost averaging. Now, I will get into these deals here we're going to talk about. Taxing unrealized gains from profits that you have on the stock market. Say your house. If your house goes up in value, not only do you pay more property taxes for your house that went up in value, they want you to pay unrealized gains taxes. Not only that, but they've been talking about this for a while because they want to rob you of everything that you have. Okay, is that, say you're a boomer and you bought your house for $20,000 back in 1970, right? Or you wouldn't be a boomer, you'd be a silent generation. You bought your house in 1970 for $20,000, built it brand new on 10 acres of land for $20,000, because that's what that cost back then. That same property now, depending on its location, would probably be worth close to $1 million. All right? Now, when Mr. Silent Generation kicks off and that inheritance goes to the children, what the idea is that your gains now is you would be taxed on not the $20,000 that was originally purchased for, as you'd be taxed as income to the children on the $980,000 that the property has gained in value. So that would mean that nobody could actually afford to take on inheritance. Everything would have to be sold off. And that's the plan. You'll own nothing and you'll love it. That is the plan. It'll never go through, at least not in the foreseeable future, but that is what they're looking to do, and they want to raise a hubbub, and they want to try and slow down the adoption of cryptocurrencies, particularly with rules like that and rules with taxing unrealized gains, which is impossible. It's impossible. And what this means is the only way that makes sense, right, is you have a stock or you have a crypto or you have a whatever, and you put $100 into it and it goes to $200 and you just let it sit there, you don't owe any taxes. If you take it out and you take out the whole $200, now you owe taxes on the $100 that you made, and they would be capital gains tax, whatever it is, but that's only when you cash out. You could, for instance, put $10,000 into crypto, and that $10,000 turns into $100 million. Okay. But instead of taking $100 million off of the crypto exchange, you only take your initial $10,000 back. Your tax obligation is zero because you're just reclaiming your investment. What the idea here is that Janet Yellen proposed and they want to put together is that you have your $10,000 that turns into $100 million on the stock exchange or on the crypto exchange. They want to tax you for the 90, they want to tax you for the $100 million before you even pull it off the exchange. So that means your investment is sitting there and you have to pull some out just to pay taxes on it, right? More siphoning, more vampirism, more Satanist stuff, because the basic human rights is the right to property. The Constitution's all in it. It's slavery. It's a lot of different things. But don't really worry about that because these laws will affect these little vampires, okay? You look at who these laws are going to affect, and they'll pass it. They'll try and pass it so that only poor people are taxed by this rule. If they pass anything at all. I don't really think that they will. But the way that it is, you think that they are going to tax BlackRock, who owns the world and all of the businesses in the world? Do you think they're going to tax them on capital gains, on unrealized gains? BlackRock, who runs the government? No. No. Do you think Joe Biden is going to pay any of those? No. Do you think any of these weirdo Satanist clowns in the governments, in any government across the world, is going to pay this stuff? No. Where do they get their money from? 100% from vampirism and leeching and backwater deals, and all of this insider trading stuff is 100% where they get their money from. Now, if they have to pay 50% of that in capital gains tax every year, regardless if they sell or not, this law is not going to go through. Okay? It is not going to go through. What I think is interesting is that people are not doing things like protesting or say, boy, what's a good way to put this? It's unbelievable to me that people don't have a more violent reaction to things like this from their government. These bunch of well, whatever, these little ghouls, you know, like the Wizard of Oz, the little wizard behind the curtain who is a little 5 foot tall nothing, right? That's who all of these politicians are. That there isn't some sort of a reaction that warrants what they're trying to say and what they're trying to do to people, much like, you know, what they want to do with people and their medical conditions and what they want to do through fascism at these different companies that are all, of course, owned by BlackRock, who, you know, has a large portion of Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and Pfizer, all of them in their portfolio. And all of these companies that are pushing that you need it in order to work at their company are also in cahoots with BlackRock. And it all seems to make sense. These are all of these people, and they all print money out of nothing so they can invest it and buy up corporations. Now, what happens when they get taxed by 30 or 50% in America? Well, that's it for America. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't make any sense. It is akin to, you know, taxing baby teeth, right? So your baby starts teething, and the tax man's going to come and wants one of the teeth because that's a gain, right? The tax man's going to come to your garden where you're growing potatoes. And this year you had 10 potatoes instead of 8 potatoes, and the tax man's going to come and take a potato from you. Okay? And people, all of the news surrounding this is so nonsensical, because the government only has jurisdiction over things involving the Federal Reserve note. They don't have jurisdiction on how many potatoes you have until you sell the potatoes for Federal Reserve notes. They don't have jurisdiction over Bitcoin. They don't have jurisdiction over Ethereum. They have jurisdiction over the exchanges who trade these goods for Federal Reserve notes, guys. And there is a lot of talk about people in these, like miners and things like that, that have to pay capital gains because they mine coins and then they sit on them and wait to sell them. And it's like, how do you figure that? How do you figure that? You didn't purchase the coin for a gain. You created the coin with your computer. This is like creating children or creating potatoes in the garden. It's a very simple, straightforward concept that this is why this is illegal and why it doesn't hold any water. Jurisdiction. Federal Reserve dollars. I recommend that everybody stop using Federal Reserve dollars. There's no point. There's no point. But anyways, we're looking at this is apparently a tax, you know, we're American, we got the American flag and all this stuff. And there are problems with taxing unrealized gains. Number one, the tax would empower the IRS. Oh, that's a problem? It's not a problem for the IRS, right? Government does not pass laws that are problems for them. Tax would likely grow to hit millions of Americans over time. That is the point. Right? That is the point. The tax will encourage taxpayers to move overseas or move states. Well, that's already going on. But why is that a negative? That's a good thing. People should do that. If you're not happy with where you live and you're getting treated like crap and your police are shooting everybody in the streets like they do in Minneapolis, okay, beating everybody up, or like they do in Australia, you should move. Just like if a company treats people like crap and sells garbage products that hurt people, you should boycott them. Although if you wanted to boycott BlackRock, you wouldn't be able to shop anywhere anymore because they own everything. The tax will harm jobs in the economy. Government hurts jobs in the economy. See, all of these problems are government caused. All of them. Including that whole thing with George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, and all that. That was a government-caused problem. It was the police who killed that guy. Doesn't matter what color he is. The tax code is already steeply progressive. Yeah, Marxism is like that. You guys figured that out yet? The tax would likely be unconstitutional. All the way down at number 6. And it's not the fact that it's unconstitutional. It's the fact that it goes against basic human rights given to everybody by God. That everybody, there is no point in writing it down because everybody knows it. Americans oppose taxing unrealized gains. Well, because it's stupid, but yeah, the tax has failed and been repealed in foreign countries. The tax will face taxpayers to liquidate their assets. Oh no, like the government cares. It would impose taxes retroactively. I mean, like, how about number 1? That it's a filthy, I don't even know I have the words for it. Is like, at that point, if you're taxing unrealized gains, like I said, you could get taxed for children that you do not yet have. Just on the expectation that you'll have children, so we'll tax you. If anybody doesn't know, the reason that they can keep printing trillions and trillions of dollars, that debt has to be based on something. And it's based on you. Because it is, you are the collateral for that debt. You understand that's why you have birth certificates and social security numbers, is they figure out how much each individual citizen of their corporation is worth, and they are allowed to borrow based on that amount. Which is why everybody loves immigration. And that's where this money comes from. It is printed out of thin air based on nothing, is so they say, but no, it's based on the people. It is based on the people. There you have it with that. And I want to look at this one. Taxing unrealized capital gains at death is unlikely to raise revenue. Why even have that argument? It's one of these things where you have triple, quadruple, quintuple taxation, like I was speaking about with the house. You know, you buy a house or you build a house for 20 grand, and it's worth $1 million by the time you die and pass it off to your children, and they want to have the death tax, and of course tax you on what the house is worth at the time it came into your possession, as though it hasn't been taxed, right? They want to look at, essentially, it's another destruction of the family where, you know, you can't have family units anymore, and everyone's looking at an individual robot that plugs into the state, and it doesn't matter if it's your family wealth or your family whatever. You know, who things like this do not affect are people who start corporations and they have everything in a corporation, and then nothing ever has to be passed down the standard way like you would think. You know, you don't have a will anymore. You don't need any of that stuff. Trust accounts are okay. But this is why everyone should have some sort of a corporation and just have the corporation own everything. You don't have to deal with all this tax nonsense, all these ways that they want to treat the slaves, and you become part of the upper crust that doesn't have to pay taxes and doesn't have an income because it all comes in and out of their corporation. It's not terribly difficult to set up, but that is why people like Jeff Bezos do not pay any taxes. And when he dies, whoever his heirs are going to get 100% of everything that Jeff Bezos had access to. Okay? That is what it is. It's a war on the family. It's a war on people all over the world right now. And, you know, in America, it's pretty bad because the quote unquote working class now, and what they used to call the middle class or whatever, wages have been going down for 30 years, something like that. And we're at the point now where we're making, on a dollarly average comparatively to 1965, if you're not making $30 to $35 an hour, you aren't even making minimum wage. If you track the federal minimum wage and the buying power of that minimum wage, you don't make $30 an hour. You're not even making minimum wage. Now, to make $30 an hour now today, you need to have some sort of an education, right? In most jobs. I realize there are plumbers and things like this where you can train into it and make a lot more than $30 an hour. But if you're going to get an office job making 30 bucks an hour, be a project manager or something, you have to have an education and a whole bunch of experience and all this. And it's a minimum wage job, guys. Minimum wage. And you look at it like this. In Minnesota, if you're up and making 50 grand a year, your tax rate's around 40%, if not slightly above that. Well, that's not counting inflation. So you make your 50 grand a year and you're paying 20 of it to the state, to the federal government, and that doesn't even count the fact that you've got 15 to 20% inflation in the stores. Okay, so now you don't even have half. What are you going to do about that? I know what I'm doing about it. 438% gains in 2 months. That's what we're doing about it. And, you know, if I mine me some Bitcoin in my house, who's to know that I have it? There are plenty of friendlier places to go if everything falls apart in America, which is the plan, guys. It is the plan. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Don't let them befuddle you with smoke and mirrors, though. Stay close to the truth. And the truth is you're getting robbed by these vampires. Getting robbed by them. And you've got the choice of, well, you're just going to sit and take it and complain about it, or are you going to do something about it? And everyone's got to take the Bitcoin IQ test, all right? It's the Bitcoin IQ test. as to you're going to keep living like a slave and being treated like a slave by whomever it is, or you're going to take some control over your own life. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at. And this is the time. This is really the time, because after this bull market, I don't expect that we'll have this 80-90% crash, right? There's enough adoption going forward that that probably won't be a thing. But there'll be, 50%, probably 30, 40, 50, depending on what coins you hold. Some of them will go to zero. A lot of them will go to zero, right? And then there's going to be a period of not a whole lot of action in the market. So where you're not going to see the 10x gains, the 50x gains, the 20x gains, might see 20, 30% over the course of a year. Are you going to be, what do you think things are going to look like by the time we have the next halving and the next big, huge super cycle bull run? 4 years. What do you think things are going to look like? I don't know. I don't know. I know where my plans are. We're going to continue dollar cost averaging and rolling as much as I possibly can into cryptocurrency, because the fiat world is a nightmare. And really, I'm not going to be happy until things are started to be priced in Bitcoin as opposed to Federal Reserve dollars, because it's fast approaching the point where the prices are going to change daily and nobody's going to know what a dollar is worth, right? And people say crypto is volatile. You just wait. You just wait. And with that, guys, we are going to be out of here. Take care.